Since the last video, I noticed one more detail here. On this little piece right here, it looks like there's a little hole, a little circle there. So what I did is I went ahead and used a Boolean and created a hole in this right here. So just a little extra added detail there. Let's now work on the scope and maybe begin with this base piece right here. So I'll go to the side view and let's take a look at this. I think for now what I'm going to do is go to a brand new layer so we don't see any of the previous objects that we've created. So let's begin with this piece right here on the bottom. It looks to me like it kind of curves over these pieces here. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and first of all I'm going to bring the cursor into the center of the grid with Shift C, and then I'll click right about here and add a cube right here. Now I'll scale it and put it in place, something like this. Now I'm going to press Shift and click that first layer just to see where these guys are, and I want this to kind of rest right on top of those like that. I'll maybe take this face now and pull it up just a little. And now let's tumble around and see how it looks from the other angles. It's a little bit too wide, isn't it? So let's bring that back in the X. And it needs a little bit of space here to kind of drape over those pieces. So I think if I give it a little space like that, that should be enough. Let's try it. The next thing I'll do is tab into edit mode, press Control R, and I'll scroll the mouse wheel once to add two edges here, and I'll click, and then I'll scale out in the X. And that should give me faces right down in here that I can select. And now I can extrude these down. I'll hit E and pull down, and maybe right about here, let's say. Let's try that. Now let's think about this piece. It looks like we've got a piece that comes up out of that and then merges with the actual scope. There's a lot going on here and I'm not sure I need all of it. But what I am going to do is go ahead and insert two edge loops in here like this. Scale them out a bit. And this is where that piece is going to come out from. So this is the face we'll use to extrude up. Let's go to the side view now. And it looks as if we've got some extension out this side. Let's try this. I'm going to hit E and extrude up just a bit, like so. And then I'm going to insert an edge loop right here because it looks to me like there's this curve right here. There's something going on in here. I'm not quite sure what that is yet, but we can work on that. I'll also take this face here and extrude this back like this so we get something like this. And then I'll take this face and extrude these up like this and maybe even slide them back like that. There we go. So we're getting that basic shape. There we go. Now let's work on the scope itself. It looks like it's just a cylinder, so I'll begin with that. Shift A and cylinder. I don't need 50 sides here. I'll take this down to maybe say 16. And I'll make sure we have a triangle fan on this as well. I'll press RX90 and let's scale it and put it into place once again. So I'm just going to begin with this piece right here, and I'm going to extrude forward and back and try and get as much of the detail as I can here. I'm not going to be able to get all of this, and I don't think I need all of it. I just need enough to hint at what's going on. So I'll tab into edit mode. I'll select these faces here with the B key, and then I'll begin extruding and scaling to fit the reference image. It looks like I'm going to need a new cylinder here, so I'll move the cursor to this point with Shift S, and then I'll add a new cylinder here. rotate it around the X and bring this down as well like this. And from here I'll just add a little bit more detail going on back. So I'll tab into edit mode, and with the border select tool select those faces again, and now I'll just begin extruding and scaling out, getting this as best I can. And then back here I'll go ahead and extrude and scale straight in, and then extrude and push in like that for now, just to close that off. Now let's go back to our side view and wireframe, and let's begin working with these now. So I'll go back to this object and border select these faces now. It's hard to tell what's going on underneath all of this here. We'll deal with that a little bit more coming up, but for right now, let's go ahead and extrude a couple of times and pull forward like this, and just try and get these pieces here. And lastly, back here we can extrude and get this last piece right back here. Once again, I'll tumble around to this area, hit E and push in just a bit. So there we've got just a basic shape for the scope. I'll go ahead and add a subdivision surface modifier to it, add some edge loops, and then in the next video let's work a little bit more on some of this detail around the scope.